All right, thank you everybody for joining in today. This is the live demo for the limited connectivity or air-gapped work that we are doing for license compliance. Today is March 25th, 2020, and Olivier, please take it away.
Thanks, Todd. So here's a scorecard that we'll try to complete within this demo. Obviously, the setup is the same as the one from the SaaS demo, so I will just quickly run through the explanation. We are leveraging two instances, two VMs. The first one is GitLab air-gapped test, which is hosting the GitLab self-managed instance. And we also leverage a Bastion host to do some intermediate connectivity stuff to inject data into the air-gapped instance. This is a sequence diagram that quickly explains how we are doing this. So from a local machine, I'm logging in to the Bastion host via SSH. And from there, I can read the gitlab.com registry to pull some scanner images, save them into tar file that I can then copy over SCP to the air-gapped instance, where we can load them back into the registry and make them available to the CI jobs. The step number 5 is what we may vary depending on your environment setup and your policy to inject data into the air-gapped instance. The first thing I will do is just showing up that I am connecting to the air-gapped instance via HTTPS, which is one of the ports that are allowed from the internet. And this is using this specific host name because I added that to my local machine etc host file. Otherwise, I will have to use an IP address to get to it. You can also see here that I have some predefined command to connect via SSH to the Bastion host here, and here to the air-gapped test instance. All right, so as explained in this quick sequence diagram, to get this license scanner into the air-gapped instance, I first need to download it from the Bastion host. I'm using this really quick script, which is just specifying which image I want to download. It's pulling it here, saving it into a file, which is not here stored on the file system, but instead, because it's a 2 GB image, was a great tip to just gzip it and stream it directly to the air-gapped host, which is specified with this IP address here, and load it directly. So, thanks more for that quick tip. So I will just run that. And since it's 2 GB, it might take a while. So in the meantime, let's move forward and go to the air-gapped test instance, where I want to make sure that I don't already have this license image available. So by doing this, I'm basically asking Docker to tell me the list of images they have locally with the license in their name. We can see we have one image here called license management with the latest tag. We won't use that one, so it's fine. And I can also show you directly on the GitLab UI where this image will be ultimately uploaded so that it will be used by the CI job. So here we can see this latest tag available here, but we still don't have the 12.8, which is still being compiled right now. So while this is running, let's have a look at a test project that has been set up on this test instance. As you can see, there is no GitLab CI YAML file, so nothing has been configured yet. This is a sample Java project that contains some dependencies. Some of them have been commented out just for the purpose of that demo. And if you look at the license list here, you will see that there is nothing available. So first step will be to set up that. And I will just, for the purpose of the demonstration, use the configuration highlighted in our documentation for the usual usage, which is not the air-gapped one. So as a first step, I will just open the web IDE and add a new GitLab CI YAML file here, pasting those 2 lines and saving this. I can copy that directly to master, which is not really great, but again, just for the demo. This should trigger a pipeline that I can see soon here. Here it is. So as you can see, the license scanning job has now been configured there. And as you can see, it's trying to reach out to the registry on gitlab.com, which might fail in a few seconds. All right, so as you can see, this is timing out. It will retry multiple times, but ultimately this will fail. So this is still being copied here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them why this is happening. And obviously the license compliance page is still not available. So we don't have any documentation available yet for license compliance because the work is still ongoing. I can quickly show you the documentation that has been added for general air gap support, which provides some of the example script that I was mentioning. And we also have some directly available documentation for some of our projects, but we don't have it yet for license compliance. Again, this is still ongoing. I have this small snippet here that contains what needs to be done for license compliance. So all I can do is quickly copy paste that and, oops, sorry, and implement that change into that project. Here. So basically here we are still loading the license scanning image, the license scanning job, sorry. We are overriding it to specify that the image we want to use is this one. So it's currently leveraging the latest one, but we will override that because this is not the one we want to use. Then we have some Maven options that are being overridden here, like we want to be in offline mode, we want to specify a given settings XML file. We are enabling some debug logging for the license plugin, which is the underlying tool, which is extracting the licenses from the Maven dependencies. And then some workaround to avoid SSL check happening because we still have not support for the custom certificates, which is a known issue and something we will address soon too. And then we are overriding the setup cmd command, which is avoiding some other remote checks during the setup. Obviously, this is work in progress, and this will be well documented, and we might be looking for a better way to provide this and set up the air-gap environment. Now here we have a very simple job, which is testing that we are still not available to reach out the internet from the CI job. So this is just doing a wget to the registry.gitlab.com, and the job will success if this command is failing. All right, so we now have finished to copy the 12.8 stable image over to the host, to the test host, so we should see it now. Yep, we see it here. So this is not tagged correctly, so I just first need to retag that with an image name that matches this instance, and then I can push it. As you can see, I've just used a custom tag name here, and we should see that now appearing here. Here it is. So I'm just copying this one and putting this here because this is the image I want to use. All right, so from there I can commit. I will use a branch. I'm creating a merge request this time. just creating that merge request, and we should now have a pipeline running on that branch. Obviously, a runner will pick that up soon. Okay, so as we can see from the previous job, it ended up failing because of not being able to reach out to registry.gitlab.com. So this is good. And I don't have any runner. So this might be a failure, but not one I was thinking about. And I'm not logged as an admin with this. So I cannot look at the runner load.
Is anybody else also logged into the instance that might be able to check as admin if there's runners available?
The job was running just before, so maybe there's just someone else playing with the instance. I hope not, but all right, I can try to log as a root.
I see it, Olivier. It's running another job right now.
Okay, thanks. So you
we
won't
have, but yeah, there's just a backstory. We only have one runner running on this instance. That's being shared across all projects. Hence the delay. I'm going to see if I can cancel that job for now.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting?
Yep.
So I was just curious, what's the difference between the two images? I obviously you brought over the image, but I'm just curious, what changes did we have to make in the image? I understand all the rest of the CI changes that were necessary. I was just curious what the differences were in the image that you pulled over.
So basically, we're currently following a XY stable scheme for naming the image tags, which is following the XY major and minor number version of GitLab instance. So this is running GitLab 12.8. So to have the optimum compatibility, I'm loading the 12.8 stable Docker image. This is something we're trying to get rid of and move to semantic versioning instead. So ultimately, for the users, it will just be a matter of fetching license management column 2 or 3. They could even pin to a specific minor tag if they want to. This will give them more flexibility. So this is something we are currently addressing in 12.10, trying to change that scheme. But basically, you can pull whatever you want and use whatever tag you want. It's just a matter of making sure that you're using a scanner that is compatible with the instance you're running. We try to stay backward compatible as much as possible, but it might be best to follow. Okay, so my license scanning job has been canceled here. So I will need to retry it. Oh, somebody's playing with that.
Sorry, that was me.
I'm a magician. Thank you, Mo, for unlocking that. So let's have a look at this check air gap job. So it's a SIPA one loading the Alpian image and just doing a wget. We'll see that succeeding. I mean, the command will fail, so the job will succeed. All right, so it can connect. That's
one of the rare chances that failure is a positive.
Yeah, we want this one to fail.
Just to add on to what Olivier was setting, so there's no difference between the image that we have for public cloud and the private cloud, and the, sorry, not private cloud, the air gap image. It's just a different name, so it pulls from a different location.
Yeah, that's what I was really going for. So if we just made the changes to the YAML and used the old image, the only thing that would have been different would have been that you might have, you just didn't have the latest image or the image that was congruent with the GitLab version.
Yeah, it would have been an older copy of data, an older copy of everything.
whatever we're putting into the configuration and how we are providing this to a get customer, this line would definitely be something they will have to provide. Whether it will be via an environment variable, so they don't have to override the job itself. To make this easier, they will still be responsible for this part because this is really specific to their own environment. All right, so the scanning job is running now. Whilst it's running, I will just want to highlight something also very specific to license scanning and probably dependency scanning too, is we are injecting our scanner images within the AirGap instance so that we can scan the dependencies. But obviously to scan them, depending on the language and the package manager, we might need to have these dependencies available too. The assumption is that as you are building your project within the AirGap instance, you already have set up everything that's necessary to provide those dependencies to GitLab CI job when it's building the project. For the purpose of this demo, we would have required, for example, a Maven registry. This is something that ships with GitLab, so we have done some testing to push some custom packages to the Maven registry bundled within the GitLab instance, and this works. But as I wanted to have more dependencies to show this demo, I just go with another approach, which is about vendoring the dependencies. So here we have M2 repository directory within the Git repository. So when we are running Maven, we are explicitly telling it that it has to use this M2/repository directory to find all the dependencies, and that they have already been added there automatically. When we are running the jobs, Maven is not trying to reach out to any remote repositories. But again, this might be a challenge because this is what we can do for Maven. For some other type of packages, we can do the same, but it's not obvious. We have 13 different languages in license compliance, and the final solution may depend on the package manager and how the dependencies are handled.
And just for everybody who, Kevin was on the call, but for anybody who wasn't on the call, we did confirm the customers using Maven.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mo did a great work to start with Maven, and the next one it will be Python, and then JavaScript with NPM and Yarn, and C++.
I'm sorry, could you just run over, so I understand you have the local Maven repository there in the actual repo for this project. But you said if they had their Maven repository in another GitLab project within the same instance, that would work as well?
Yep. Mo has this project which is saying that it uses where you package list. So here you can see that we have some packages here that have been uploaded. These are Maven packages available in the Maven registry of this GitLab instance.
Now, if you go back to your config file, like you're specifying which exact Maven repo in there, correct? Like there's that line.
This is for when building and also when fetching. So the dependency that this project is calling might be available. Oh, this might not be the test project, but anyway, it's working the same way. It's not part of the demo because it was, again, simpler to do the vendor job, but it will work seamlessly. The only issue was the authentication via SSL.
So if they've configured within GitLab their dependencies to be pulling from the correct Maven repository, like they've done that setup.
Yeah,
did that make sense?
That repo shows that you can pull Maven project packages from the same project, as well as from a different project hosted in GitLab, as well as a private project that requires credentials. What we haven't done is actually like a separate Maven mirror within the same intranet. We're just using GitLab's own Maven repositories.
All right, yeah, thanks for the, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thanks.
Yeah, the challenge might be that depending on which solution is used by the customer, they definitely manage to set this up to build their project, but we need to find a way to provide that same configuration to the scanning tool. So here, the underlying tune is just a Maven plugin, so we can just try to a way to propagate those configurations to the Maven command run by the tool, so it works. But for some cases, it might be harder. So it's a very per language, per package manager implementation. All right, so we now have the scanning job that completed. We can see that it found some licenses here. So let's have a look at what we have on the pipeline view now. So we can see there's a license tab available here, and it's showing Apache license 2 for some of the dependencies. If I'm clicking there, I got some more metadata like the URL. If I'm clicking here, obviously it's working because it's my local machine which has access to the internet. But depending on how your network is set up and how the engineer and the team members are working, whether on the internet accessible or not network, this might break. This has been added to the documentation, I think. From there, I can also decide to blacklist or approve a license. So let's say I'm fine with Apache license 2, I can approve it. And it will show up in the next merge request that this is something I am accepting. I can go back to the merge request page, by the way. I can see that the license compliance report is loading here, and it detected one license that I can find here. And we can see this is an approved one because I just approved it. There is also a quick link for managing licenses directly from the configuration. And from there, I can decide that I want to, for example, blacklist some more. So let's say I don't want to have any MIT license in my project. I'm setting a policy that says, I don't want any of this MIT license in my dependencies. This doesn't apply to the current merge request because we don't have any MIT, any dependency with an MIT license. So I'm good with that one. So I'm merging it. While this will be merging on master, this I can show you that the license compliance page is still empty because this is only fed from what runs on the default branch. And the scanning job that was currently running was on the feature branch. But now that we are merging it, a pipeline will run on the default branch, which is master. And when it's completed, it will fill the license compliance list. While this is running, let's do some modifications. So I will just update my POM XML by running the web IDE. So basically, I will just uncomment those dependencies, which will make them available. I will add a new branch. All right, so let's wait for all the pipeline to run now. Again, if you have any question, this is a good time to ask them.
So effectively, I'm assuming you've introduced an MIT license with those uncommentings.
Your guess is correct.
Sorry, should I say spoiler alert?
No, there is even more surprise. You'll see.
Okay.
So while I'm here, I also show the configuration page, which is something I skipped, but this has been added recently, and it tells you which of the secure features have been set up, and license compliance here is one of them. So it's seeing itself that it's not yet configured because none of its jobs has been detected on the latest pipeline on the default branch. Again, this is looking at the default branch only, as stated here. So this is running. I'm not sure I can cancel the checker gap, otherwise it would cancel the whole job. It's not allowed to fail, so I won't do that. I'm sorry, I will have to wait a bit more.
That's fine, yeah.
Spoiler alert, this will fail. So this is looking for specific jobs to run in the pipeline, and this great feature has been added recently at the same time as we were doing a renaming of the older license management into license compliance. And so this is still looking for a job called license management, whereas this has been renamed to license scanning to align with the other tools. So we have this ongoing issue that has just been solved in 12.9, thanks to Titiana. So this will make it working even with the license scanning job. But for this demo, this will stay at not configured. So one failure. This is definitely too long. This is something that is worth mentioning. License compliance is too long. We already made several improvements to try to improve that, but to make the image smaller and to speed up the detection, but we still have a lot of work. Another approach that we are considering for the future is to break this down into multiple analyzers to have one image per environment, because now the underlying tool, which is License Finder, is handling all the different environments for all the different packages and languages into the same Docker image. So you are building Java environment, Ruby environment, Python environment, etc., which makes it a bit bigger. All right, so the license scanning job has been succeeded here, and we'll have to wait for the check air gap to be done. I will take this time to go back to the SSL check. This is something I think we all agree that we want to support. I mean, the custom certificates. Obviously, we don't want our, sorry, try to find back the line. We don't want our customer to use that kind of workaround and disable the SSL checks. So this is something that we are looking as a high priority for 12.10. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, although there is a chance because they're using full chains, even though it's internal certificate engines, it's like 50-50 on how, if that's going to break or not. So we want to work it in case it does, because it may vary across internal chains.
Is it important that we try to have them test this so we can get that feedback, or is the timing not critical?
I mean, we're fixing it regardless, and I think we'll have it for 12.10. We may just want to double check with them, like if they get a failure, would doing a SSL bypass be acceptable? Because like they seem confident that it's going to work, so I don't. When we talked to them, they said like our chain usually works, but we may just want to ask like, hey, if for some reason your full chain isn't passing, for some reason, is SSL bypass an approved bypass internally?
Okay.
It would be great if we could give them this image and just try it, because they can use the before script to either install the full chain using the OS's update, say, certificates, or in the case of Maven, if they want to use a custom JKS file. I'm not sure.
Would this work with 12.7?
Would this work with 12.7? Well, yes, because 12.7 you still had before script in GitLab CI YAML, and you still had root on the image as well, so they can modify the image in whatever way they want. The part that I'm not sure of is like how they're going to do it. If they would prefer to have the root CA installed right into the images, like a trusted CA store, or if they want to be able to pass like a custom PEM file that they shell directly to Maven. In that case, they can still use the Maven CLI options, but there's different ways to accommodate or accomplish that goal. So getting that feedback in terms of which way they would like, I think would be helpful.
If we can write those options up, we can probably give that to them, although I don't know, they're kind of busy right now. So if we write it up clearly, they might be able to say, this is the one we do today. I don't know if they'd be able to actually do a full test though.
Okay.
One thing what we need to keep in mind is that we have implemented a similar solution for all the security scanners. So we probably want to align with them in terms of UX. All right, so the pipeline on the master branch is now completed. So hopefully this will now show up here. And yeah, we have this Apache license 2.0 showing up here with the list of the components, the packages that are leveraging this, using, sorry, this license. And this is also linking directly to the corresponding URL. Again, this might not work depending on the setup of your air-gap instance. So let's go back to our merge request now. Still running, still running. So we added a bunch of dependencies into that merge request. And obviously some of them are using a MIT license. I don't know which one, but some of them are. And as a reminder, we specifically tell that we are disallowing this. I don't recall exactly where the setting is, by the way.
I think because we just moved it.
Yeah, we are moving, by the way, yeah, this settings page is being moved on the license compliance section, which will be way easier to find. So here it is, MIT is being disallowed. All right, license scanning is done. So we could show probably the result right now. No, it's failing. Oh, it's failing. So another failure. Probably it's failing because it.
I just want to see the network tab.
It's probably because it's not yet completed. Now that the pipeline's complete, it's working. All right, so we now have detected 5 new licenses, and we have MIT here, but it's still considered as unknown. This is not the best UI, this is something we're working on, but the gray circle means we don't find any existing policy regarding that specific license. So you're all wondering, well, we disabled, we specifically blacklisted my MIT license, so why it's not working? This is a known issue. As you can see, this is reported as being MIT license, whereas what we put into the management of the licenses is just MIT. And this is something that we've done recently, which is about normalizing the license name to improve the matching. So this is not working in the airgap instance because we have a cron job that regularly checks the SPDX database to get the latest ideas, put them into our GitLab instance database, and then make sure to update all the licenses that we found in the reports and update them to get this new ID. So we have this normalization step happening at that moment, which makes the matching between the policies and the scanned licenses that we found in the project to be way more efficient. And here it's failing because this is not the same name.
Well, it's not failing, it's doing exact match.
Yeah.
And so it's a less nice user experience, but since we can't go check that resource with a cron job, they get precise matching only instead of imprecise matching.
So just to be clear, if you had typed in previous steps, MIT space license.
Yep, it would have worked.
That would have been a successful do not allow because it's an
It just had to be exact match. Case sensitive? Do you know if it's case sensitive?
I think it is. I think it counts periods, spaces, and I think cases, or is cases not in there? I know it's periods and spaces matter.
That's okay. If you knew, that's okay.
And this is for air gap mode, but yes, I believe it is case insensitive, just looking it up right now. So the behavior on GitLab.com is it would have matched MIT there. But sorry.
So I just added MIT license as a blacklisted one, and now it's reporting correctly. So again, this will be fixed. We'll try to figure out a way to bundle that index into the Omnibus package so that it's available for self-managed instances so that it improves the matching algorithm. All right, so let's merge this one and hopefully see this showing up in the license compliance page. Also a final point, I just want to make sure that we agree on how to prove that any outbound calls were made from the airgap instance. We tend to agree that having the check airgap job showing that it's failing is enough, but we also were discussing that we need to do some netcat commands on the airgap host. I was digging a bit yesterday with this, and what I ended up with is what I think would make more sense to demonstrate that. So here is the log viewer from the instance, which is catching every traffic that is being handled by the rule that we've set up, and one of them being we disallow any outgoing calls. So if I'm trying, for example, to reach out to okay, so if I'm trying to reach out to the SSH port, so I'm typing here using netcat, and I want to reach out to the Bastion host on port 22. I should see that this has been rejected. So here, I'll just reload that page to get the latest logs. So as you can see, I cannot connect. This has been timed out. And we should see here that this is due to the firewall rules blocking that traffic. Where am I looking? All right. Just looking at the hour. It would be great to have this sorted by most recent items first.
If you know a keyword, you can filter.
I think if you click jump to now up at the top, it'll jump you.
Thanks, that's a good one. I'm already not familiar with that one. So here we can see that we have one attempt to connect. Well, that might be not the correct one because it's trying on 40. This is supposed to be 22, and here it's trying to reach 443, so it's not the correct one. All right, so I will hit my head because I was saying this would be simpler.
There's also
actually
newer entries, load newer logs, I guess. And this is, yeah. This is why being a firewall admin is 0% fun.
It was working fine, obviously, last night when I was testing this. So, demo stuff. Anyway, this is something that we can dig further, but unless you have specific netcat command that you want me to run to prove that. But my point was that running netcat command from the air-gap host to try to reach out to the outside might not be a proof that you are fully air-gapped, because you can fail to reach out for any other reasons than having a specific firewall blocking this. I'm not expert in that area, so please feel free to ask anything you want me to do to check that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other job that you had combined with the original pipeline before you modified the YAML is probably adequate.
Sorry, please that again.
Sorry?
Could you please ask this again?
Using the job in the pipeline was enough.
Oh, okay.
No, the combination of the two. So you should a pipeline fail when you hadn't properly set up the YAML with all the options, the overrides of the image name and so on, right? That was the first pipeline you did. If you go into the pipeline history, there's the one that failed license scanning, right? Because it couldn't. Yeah, so I think that combined with the running job that succeeds when it can't do a wget, I think the combination of those two is probably a good way to do it. Not only test it, but also to show it in these types of demos, rather than the firewall rules. But everything's being denied. Everything you've opened has been denied. So
yeah, sorry, we can't see this one that I just tried. Finally found it. So trying to reach out to this EIP, this port, and being denied by the specific rules on egress traffic. All right, this ends the demo. Do you want to go through the scorecards now? Just stop the recording and continue after.
So yeah, I think we should definitely go through the scorecard and grade where we're at with these. I don't know if I mean, I don't have a problem with it being recorded for how we grade and what the rationale was. I don't know if others have a differing opinion on that.
Todd, thanks for this. I had a comment in an item L. I think we should be grading as we go, so we don't forget the context of why it failed, why it passed, and call out. I also wanted to foster that we have single source of truth. So if there's like a single source of truth in the scorecard, why the score is low, let's put it in the notes so we have continuity on the progress week to week. And if the raw meeting notes can be in the agenda document, and just have the suitable things doing their own thing, but deduplicated as much as we can. I'd love to hear back from the team. What do we think?
That makes sense to me. The only drawback might be that the script of the demo might not match exactly the task that we are grading here. So sometimes it might be hard, but as far as we can do this, I agree.
I time-stamped everything in the notes that I took on the demo itself, and you'll see that there's a lot of going back and forth. So I mean, I guess we could figure out when the second point or the closure point is, and then do the checks at the closure points.
I think the timestamps are great. I also agree that the timestamps in its full form will explode the comment section in the scorecard. So,
well, I was specifically trying to
the bottom line
address
action item for the next time we need to look out for.
I was specifically trying to address your question around we should do the checkpoint throughout. I think when we hit the closure point or the second check-in point for each one of the issues, maybe that's when we call a pause to do the discussion and score.
Yep.
It's like,
I think that's great.
So we'll do that next time.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that.
So I start from the beginning.
Well, let's go through and see if we need to go through anything again. Like, it sounds like we were discussing point number 27L right now. So I guess we're going backwards. I don't know. But do we want to complete that conversation? The note that I took was that the combination of the original settings file, and I should probably be specific, settings YAML file, failure combined with the running job, which I think it's called like check air gap, I think, or test air gap. Test air gap.
Yeah, one of those.
On pipelines is sufficient. And that was for proving that the jobs didn't call out. Is that an accurate summary of that piece?
Yes.
So would you say we proved that sufficiently and it's a 5, or maybe we didn't prove it sufficiently and it's a lower score?
I think, yeah, sure, that's a 5.
All right, do we want to work top down for the rest, or what would be a best approach? And we might need to go revisit some stuff just to get clarity.
Yeah, I'd vote for top down personally.
Okay, so if we're looking at that, then we should be looking at L23, which is proving that the environment itself was air gapped, which if I flip back to the notes, the method that we did that was we showed the host and the bastion with the mermaid diagram and then did a check to note, and then we also noted we were using a host file, and that's why we had a web address. So, I mean, my personal comment on this is I think we've proven the host itself in both SAST and license scanning is locked down, but I don't remember a specific call out proving that the Bastion only has the one connection to the host. So I think that's my only one point of concern.
I think the Bastion is irrelevant. I think the issue there was last time we wanted the demo involved the netcat command being done on one, and I thought it was a good idea just to show it on both to show the difference in the results. That's all.
So, I mean, to that similar point, if we just proved with the firewall logs that the host was locked down, do we need to also prove that it's only like the certain ports that are allowed from host to Bastion to like solidify that the host Bastion connection's limited?
I think the outbound from the test host is the critical thing. The inbound from Bastion to the test being locked down to just 2 ports is probably less relevant. I think the most relevant thing is just that the host you're testing on has no egress method.
Okay, so your most important thing is, and I can't spell the word egress apparently, is that the host egress is limited.
Blocked in this case, right?
Well, it's limited to only the 2 ports to the Bastion.
No. Ingress to the host is the
Okay.
2 ports from the Bastion, but egress would be 0 ports. I think I might be saying that one.
Yep.
And did we sufficiently prove that, or do we need to do a better job of proving that egress is 0?
Well, when we are demoing it, that we cannot download the core images, we cannot ping, we cannot reach port 22, I can do several ports like that. But if we want to exhaustively list that we cannot do any connection on any port, we need a tool that would do a full scan. And this is also a tool that the customer would agree with, which is definitely a more complex setup to me.
Right, but in this case, Kevin's being the customer. So is what we did right now for you, Kevin, okay? Or would you like us to do more on a future demo?
I think it would be good to be consistent across the demos and decide what the wording of D is going to be, which we don't have to do here, and then have it consistent across the demos would be nice. But I think in this case we have shown the ones that, I mean, you've tried out on 22, 44, 3, and 80 would be the ones that I would really want to see are being blocked on the host, are the key ones. I don't think we need to do a full port scan, for example. So
we should
I would say in this case
to get consistency for the rest of them.
Yeah, I think we just, whatever that first step is, it would be nice to be whatever we decide on. And I'm not saying that one is necessarily better than the other. I think it would just be nice to be kind of the same thing.
Okay. All right, so in this case, are we happy with the fact we think it's offline?
I'm convinced the test was done in an adequate manner. The improvement's really more on the scorecard and the approach is where I would want to see it.
So we should work on that for the upcoming demos and try and set something across all teams. And that should resolve that one. I don't know. Are we allowed to like put a comment? I'm going to put a comment.
Is everyone using the same Bastion and the same test host?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So if we have tools on there to do something, then it should be easy.
Yeah, we can put that in the scripts and have all of the demo running this at the beginning and showing what it contains. But again, the point is that the working rules are from the firewalls. This is not something you can check easily at the OS level.
Right. Oh, yeah. I understand.
We could enable the OS level IP tables rules, and then you could see the drop policy if you wanted to.
We're running short on time on the demo recording. I say let's get through the rest of the score, and
we'll work that one out as a follow-up. Yeah.
Improving the scorecard process later.
So 24L this is show the setup and config. So we did the bonus of turn on license compliance and show that it failed with the default configuration setting. We followed, in this case, it was not user documentation. It was, copy paste from a file because we don't have public user documentation first. So you can ding us for that one if you want. And then after pasting that in, we were able to run a pipeline successfully. So that was that step. So how do you feel about that one?
I would say let's do a 4 on that one. And then when we post the user documentation, I'm happy to upgrade that to a 5. I don't want to lose sight of that. I mean, I know you're not going to lose sight of that, but
I tend to have more of a 3 because we still have an incomplete work, and that when we talk about the documentation, we don't know yet what we will ultimately put in the documentation. We have several workarounds here to achieve the work. This is not the final solution we want to ship to the customer.
Sure. Yep.
So it's a 3 pending review of completed documentation.
Well, I think it's nice to actually follow the documentation in the final demo, because then customers know, oh, okay, cool, this is going to work. But for this type of demo, it's fine. But yeah, okay.
Team, there's also a note in E Roman numeral 7.1 on override for custom certs because not working yet in the doc. Is that something we have to capture here as well?
So I don't think this one impacts our score. I think this one is a follow on for Kevin to confirm if the customer is concerned about that one. So do you have that one as a takeaway to find out how they're, like, to work with Mo to be like, hey, here's how, you could do the Maven with your certificate. Is that the way you're currently doing it? I should probably add more words to this one so we can follow.
Yeah, I might need a little bit. I'm not a Maven expert. I might need a little help with the wording to make sure I get it right when I submit the question.
So Kevin and Mo need to craft the choices on certificate setup in Maven to go to customer to see if that's how current Maven repo is configured with certs. Ta-da! Added that comment. Do we want to add that into this document as well? Just until it's done.
I believe a minor excerpt there would be great. And this is all our doc. So if you want to put comments directly in the scorecard and assign to other folks like our stakeholders, feel free to do that, Nicole.
Okay, so right
drive it there.
Comment, and this one is assigned to Kevin. And can I assign it to 2 people?
Yeah, you just in the Google Doc, you just mention both people.
There you go. We now have a comment that has to get resolved on that one.
Awesome, thank you.
And so the next one is the actually adding the code, in this case, uncommenting some code, submitting the MR, and having the pipeline successfully complete the license compliance job.
Yeah, it was completed.
And we did have the item where we pointed out that we're using the GitLab Maven repository, not a custom one. Did you want to share that with the customer preemptively?
Yeah, I'll mention it to them and see if they, I kind of got the feeling when we talked to them the other day that they actually stood up, they actually have a hosted.
I agree with your
Maven repository.
assessment.
But so Mike, yeah, okay.
And I'm going to put that one as a comment as well. I need a bigger monitor. This is a very wide scorecard. All right, so do we feel that was a 5 pass? Or did you have any concerns about that one that you wanted to hold off until we got something?
Yeah, let's do it at 4 and let me confirm. You can give me an action to confirm on the Maven repository, but I can't imagine that the Maven repository acts significantly differently between, but yeah, let's just do it as a 4 right now. I think that's fine.
I think maybe that specific task is a bit misleading because everything that has been put in that part doesn't actually have an impact on the feature itself. Like we made a code change with submit a merge request and we wait for the pipeline to run. This is working. I mean, this is involving the Git features, the pipeline features, merge request features, but it's not. I mean, what is pending on our side is the next one, which is showing results.
But in theory, if the job couldn't reach out to the private Maven repo, wouldn't the pipeline not complete the running?
Honestly, I'm fine with 25 being a 5 and 26 being a 4. I just it's kind of potato to me. I do agree though that it did run and it did give us the results we expected. The only thing I'm going to check on is the GitLab hosted versus self-hosted, and if they anticipate there's a significant difference there, that we want to do any testing with a self-hosted one.
Okay, so we'll call that if the pipeline starts running, that's 25, and the completion is in 26. So we'll switch this one to a 5, and then we'll move this note down into the next one.
Yeah, I think it's great because it makes a difference between the detection capabilities, for example, versus the results that also depend on the execution of the job itself. So
yeah,
it's great. Thanks.
All right.
So did we have 26, the pipeline results? What concerns have we got there?
I think the only things that are listed there are the only concerns whatsoever, and I'm not stressed about the known issue with the MIT versus the MIT license. That's not a huge deal. And I'll just confirm the other one, and we probably can get that one to a 5 as well. So.
There's also a slight note on the timing issues. And it's okay if we don't need to track it as part of this. There's a point G Roman numeral 7.2 looking to
also known as license scanning takes forever.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just if it's going to be an improvement after this, let's make it clear and manage expectations, and then make sure Kevin is also signing off on it as well.
Yeah, sure. The only other question I had was for this section is and this is more of a question for the engineers because I just don't know. Do we feel that this is doing this with the Maven? It obviously proves out the capability when we get to the next one that's going to be added. Do we need to do this again, or is the mechanism that's being proven already proven, and that's more of a quality engineering?
We're gonna have to kind of do it slightly differently for Python, so I think we're gonna have to do a Python demo separate, honestly.
Yeah, then we might want to duplicate this section and label this as like Maven license versus just overall license, so that someone reviewing this later doesn't get confused. That's all.
I mean, like in the future, I would like to have a more unified approach, but that is not happening in 12.10, I don't think, unless Mo tells me that there's some magic unicorns in store.
I predict in a couple months from now, I will know of more unicorns, but right now I can tell you that this was focused on Maven, and we'll have to go look at each package manager individually.
100% legit.
Okay, but I will look for those unicorns on the way.
Do we need to capture new scorecards to track Python and other languages?
So for MVC, we are doing Maven and we are doing Python pip, or I should say we're doing Java, Maven, and Python pip as the 2 targets for MVC. So we should probably capture those both separately. Other items are in the post MVC epic as confirmed yesterday. We will get to them earlier if we can, but we must finish those 2.
Got it. Okay. So why don't I work with you, Nicole, offline to expand this a little bit, and then you can take it over from there.
All right. So we are at time. Anything else before I end the recording?
I'm going to selfishly ask, since we've got some shared aspects of these demos, namely environmental, that were not at 5s, yes, last Friday, but are at 5s as of today. Do those go up?
Just to piggyback on your question, Thomas, my other concern about the environment is like I don't have a Python package registry mirror in this air gap environment. With the Maven example, I was able to use the GitLab hosted Maven repository, but that's another, I guess, infrastructure related concern.
So for the first one, my vote would be for the prove, setup and prove air gap, and then the show if applicable. I think those should be universal because that's environment specific. So if the scores in those go up, my vote would be that they go up across the board, but people can downvote that or whatever. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I think let's just show it. Like you don't have to dive in and show the whole thing, but just show it, revisit it, make sure we don't regress. And Quality is working on the other bigger environment and running full regressions on it. So there's also the opportunity to catch it there and retest everything at the whole end-to-end flow. So let's make it lean, lightweight, but make sure we go back and.
So yeah, Thomas, we can bump your first and last to 5s. That was his underlying goal. And then Mo, I think we have to work with Quality to figure out how to get one stood up, unfortunately. Like I don't think there's a way around that one.
Is there a point of contact I can, oh, Will, are you my point of contact? Will.
Yeah, hello.
You and me are really best friends.
Initially, I was planning on using a script that would have used steps similar to Greg's AirGap steps, but that was kind of parked and we looked at the environment builder, but it looked to be a bit overkill. I think what we're looking at now is leveraging GitLab QA so that we can utilize our existing test pipelines and just spin up an air-gapped Docker container. But if there's something different, maybe I could revisit that initial script if there's any value in it for ourselves.
I'll start a maybe quick meeting with you just to sync up.
Sure thing. Take it offline. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording right now, unless there are any objections. Nope. All right. Thank you. I'm gonna stop.